Stop chasing new drum fills. The goal of this lesson is not to teach you new drum fills. But I get it. We've all felt like our drum fills are stale and we're playing the same thing over and over again. But in that situation, if you always go to YouTube or some book and steal a fill from someone else, you're robbing yourself of deeper learning and you're robbing yourself of your own unique voice on the drums. Instead, try taking something you already know and repurposing it, which is what we're gonna do in today's video. Repurposed or reimagined fills or stickings are going to show up quicker in your playing because they're based on stuff you already know. And it'll result in something that sounds more unique and individual to you because it came from your own brain and creativity. So let's talk about 3 aspects of a fill you can take so that you can repurpose a fill that you already know and turn it into something new. As always, you can download the sheet music for this lesson in the description below. It's gonna be on screen, but if you wanna download it as a PDF, you can do that for free below. The 3 aspects are orchestration, subdivision, and permutation. So here's the original fill that we're all kind of familiar with, which is just kick, kick, right, left, kick, right, left in 16th notes. So that's the original fill. The first way that we're gonna tweak this is we're gonna change the orchestration. I'm not the person that came up with this. Just about every drummer that I've ever taken a lesson with or watched a DVD or lesson on, they talk about orchestration at some point. And all orchestration is how you lay out the notes on the drums. Right now it's kick, kick, snare, snare, kick, kick, tom, tom, kick, tom, tom, kick, snare, snare. But if we change that orchestration, this fill will start to sound different, even if we don't change the subdivision or anything like that. So this first variation on the orchestration is going to be kick, kick, floor tom, snare, kick, rack tom, snare, kick, floor tom, rack tom, kick, rack tom, floor tom. So again, it's still 16th notes, it's still kick, right, left. We're just changing what drums we play and what order we play them in. And the nice thing about the back half of this fill is we have the kick, floor tom, rack tom, and then we have the kick, rack tom, floor tom. And because we're playing that rack tom, floor tom, right, left, we get a little bit of a crossover thing. So really slowly, variation 1 for the orchestration part of this sounds like this. First variation, changing the orchestration of this fill. The second variation, changing the orchestration we're gonna do, is we're gonna add flams. So the first one, we just kind of changed which drums we played with what hand. But the second orchestration, we're gonna change the sticking just a tiny bit because we're gonna start incorporating flams. And here's how this sticking is gonna go. It's gonna go kick, left flam, snare, with the smaller note of the flam being up on the rack tom. Second beat is going to be kick, left flam, left hand on the snare drum. And again, the ghosted note of the flam is gonna be on the floor tom. And then we're gonna do kick, flam, flam, kick, flam, flam. So the fill, really slowly, is changing the orchestration totally makes this fill feel different. It changes the texture of it. Those flams sound nice and meaty. So orchestration doesn't just have to do with playing which drums, but you can also add things like flams, change the articulation slightly. Parameter number 2 that we're gonna tweak to repurpose old stuff that we already know how to do is we're going to change the subdivision of it. So a really easy way that I think everyone would naturally kind of change the subdivision of this drum fill would be making the 16th note idea 32nd notes. So we're gonna go back to orchestration variation number 1, and we're gonna use that as 32nd notes, double the note value. So now that fill, instead of starting on beat 1 and playing it as 16th notes, we're gonna start it on beat 3 and start it as 32nd notes. Shifting it to 32nd notes is kind of the most predictable way to do it, but it does take this fill and shift it from kind of being a whole measure long to just on beat 3 and 4. It does kind of shift the feel a little bit. But the second variation we're gonna do under the subdivision category is we're gonna take this fill and make it 8th note triplets. So let's go back to the original thing where it's kick, kick, snare, snare, kick, kick, tom, tom, kick, kick, tom, tom. And we're gonna play it as 8th note triplets. And the reason this variation with the subdivision is so fun is because it takes this 4-note, 2-note grouping and spreads it out across 8th note triplets, which are based in groups of 3, which makes this fill sound quite different. Make sure you pay attention to my hi-hat because it's keeping quarter notes, and that's what's gonna keep you grounded. Make sure you don't lose your place. And the last parameter we're gonna adjust to repurpose old things we already know how to play is by permutating it. And this is something I first learned from David Garibaldi. And a permutation is basically where you just take the same exact thing and you shift the starting place. So you keep all the notes of the sequence the same, you just kind of shift where it starts and where it ends. So in this first example, if you picture the original sequence in 16th notes as 4 notes, kick, kick, snare, snare, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're gonna start this idea on the 4th note. So it's going to be hand, kick, kick, hand, instead of kick, kick, hand, hand. So here's a permutation of this basic kick, kick, hand, hand idea. And the last variation we're gonna do is kind of a mixture of everything. We're gonna change the orchestration, we're gonna change the subdivision, and we're going to permutate some of the idea. We're gonna play this idea as 16th note triplets, as sextuplets, and the first 2 beats are going to be pretty similar. We're just gonna start with the hands instead of the kick drum. So hand, hand, kick, kick, hand, hand, kick, kick, hand, hand, kick, kick. And then for the second part of the beat, we're going to go back to that idea we just went over, which is hand, kick, kick, hand. And now the idea is permutated like we did the first time. So it's kind of 2 different permutations in one, but here's how it would sound.